What's up, everyone, and welcome back to All Pass. Here at All Pass, we continue to believe that supporting the athletes is our highest level of focus, and our athletes are one of the most forgotten population in regards to their mental fitness. As now, hopefully some of you have been able to work through our mental fitness mentality manual that is out now. But today, we're going to introduce you guys to our podcast series. In this series, we're going to talk to a lot of elite level athletes across high school, college, and professional environments to see what they have done to work through and become resilient in their sport of choice. So again, here at All Pass, our job and our goal is to focus on the mental fitness of athletes, and we'd like to welcome you guys into this in-depth conversation. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Quebec Gibbons. I am a CEO here at All Pass. I am also licensed in the state of Ohio as a licensed professional clinical counselor for the past 6 years. During my time as a counselor, I have worked with people across all populations: anxiety, depression, autism, suicide, marriage and family, a whole different set of things. But today, I'm here to focus on working with athletes. Today's conversation, you will hear from one of our local athletes here at Jackson, Colin Biros, talk about his journey as a soccer player, pursuing his dream of becoming a high-level professional.
When Stanford was the 3-time defending national champion, who knocked him out? A Colin Biros header.
That's right. First touch, boom, and then he has the composure just to slot it in.
Colin Biros! That is sick!
Fair Biros makes something out of nothing here and scores a fantastic goal.
The grad student, the transfer from Akron. He's played in big games at Akron in the tournament. He took that final penalty against UVA that sent them forward in the ACC tournament semi. Bigger stage, more to play for. Can he do it?
This is my hometown. This is the field where I played all of my high school, and we're very blessed and privileged to meet up and talk with Colin Biros. My brother.
What's going on?
It's good to have you here, man.
How are you?
It's good to see you, bro.
Good to see you as well, bro.
Thank you for coming and hanging out and having this conversation, my guy.
Course.
So yeah, man, today I really just want to get into the psychology and your journey on and off the pitch. For those of you that don't know, we tend to speak about soccer from a football standpoint. We kind of talk in that European slang or dialect. So if you hear us say football or on the pitch, we're simply just talking about the soccer field. So we call it football. I know the American population calls it soccer. We can argue all day, but we're not here to do that. So Colin, tell me a little bit about why you love the game so much and your journey with the game.
I really fell in love with it from an early age. I was born with a ball at my feet. Literally, I have a picture in the ICU, whatever that's called, with the ball at my feet. So
Love that.
Started out really young. I was honestly, when I first started playing, I was really shy. I'd have to carry like a stuffed animal around while I was playing.
That's crazy.
So I couldn't just go out there and play. I had to like have a comfort animal with me almost, like something to get me out there and going. But I think what I just fell in love with it was just I was really good at it, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people just like being good at things, and I was really good at it, and I love how dynamic the game is. It's always changing. There's never a certain pattern of play. It's always different. You always got to be on the lookout, checking your shoulders, looking around, knowing where your teammates are, knowing where everyone else is. You know, there's 22 guys on the field. It's a lot of things to keep up with, to keep track with, and I think when you get lost in it, like when you get in that zone, I don't think there's a better feeling on the planet than being able to just go out there and function in that flow state, whatever they want to call it. Yeah, I think that's what I really fell in love with the first day I experienced that, where I was just operating purely off of instincts and not really thinking of anything else. You always chase that feeling, and that's something I really loved about soccer.
When did it get serious for you?
When did it get serious? Honestly, pretty early. I would say somewhere in middle school when I started playing at Penine, which is a team up in Lodi area. That's when it started getting really serious because we were going away from the rec in the local teams, and now you're playing teams all over the state, sometimes out of state at an early age, so maybe 12, 13, 11 years old, when I really started to take it really seriously and tried to, be the best that I could be. I wanted to be better than anyone on the field. That was kind of my motivation. Was just that's where the competitiveness really started to kick in. Was you're playing against guys who are, just as good as you, or if not maybe a little better sometimes. But yeah, I would say around there, early middle school, really started to take it seriously and I just wanted to be better than everyone. I mean, that's really the best way I can put it is I just wanted to be, when I showed up at the field, I just wanted to be the best player on the field. That was my motivation, selfishly. And, obviously winning and losing comes along with that, but that didn't come until a little later down the line.
Right.
When you're young, you just want to show up, score goals, get assists, and that's really it. And that was really all was on my mind at that point. It was just, I wanted to score all the goals. I wanted to embarrass people, nutmeg them, flick it over their head, do stuff like that. So
don't we all? But yeah, man, hey, let's go sit up in the stands and continue this great conversation.
Perfect.
What's funny, man, about you saying 13 years old was when you really got that itch? I remember because I played for your dad in high school, and I remember you playing Jackson Select, specifically at Diamond. Mm-hmm. There was a tournament that was being played, and all of us as parents, and I think I was in high school, so I was kind of like either early in coaching or doing like the little kickers. We always used to be like, man, Colin, you get so mad, bro. You just got to relax. You turn the ball over, you have a bad touch, you could just see it on your face. So I always remembered that with you, that immediately there was just a difference in your mentality from day one.
Yeah, I think that's something I take a lot of pride in is I would say I'm a perfectionist, and obviously perfection is unobtainable, but I would say that's a good motivator for me. It's something that I want to be perfect in a game. I want to, when I grew up on watching Barcelona, Pep Guardiola's team, you see the stats afterwards, Xavi, 100% pass rate, Iniesta, 100% pass rate. You see those guys, and I'm like, that's what I want to be. If I want to make it to where I want to make it to, then these are the things I have to do. So it came from a level of standards that I held for myself. And while they were definitely out of reach and not obtainable and a little bit ridiculous, that's just how I kept myself motivated. This is how I kept myself going and striving to get that level of detail in every single game, in every single play, every touch I made. That's, I think, how I separated myself from a lot of other players at that age, especially because, like I said at the beginning, at that age, you're just kind of worried about showing up, having a good time, doing what you want to do that will help you have a good time. But for me, it was more of, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Mm. So I need to have a level of care and a level of expectation that I need to carry myself with. And I kind of realized that at a young age. And it's funny because my dad actually, he unknowingly kind of gave me that reality.
Sure.
Because there was a game where I didn't play too well. I think we got mercy ruled almost. There's no mercy rule in soccer, but
it still hurts.
Yeah, it hurts the same.
It hurts all the same.
Yeah, it was a bad game, and I was really upset after the game because I didn't think I played too well. And my dad's like, listen, if you want to play in the Premier League, you want to play in all these leagues, a Premier League player scores a hat trick in that game. And instead of me, doing what I normally would do, maybe talking back to him, telling him he's wrong, he doesn't know anything, immature 13-year-old things to say, that stuck with me. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. If I want to get to those levels, these are the levels that I need to operate at. And obviously, when you're a kid. You have dreams that are definitely a little far-fetched, playing in the Premier League, playing La Liga, but that's what I wanted to do, and that's what helped me. That's what motivated me to keep playing and to try and be the best on the field, the best that I can be. And I think that's where that level of detail and perfectionism came from, is these are what these guys are operating at. These are the standards.
Sure.
I need to get to that as well.
Right.
So.
And let's, not to embarrass Pops, his father has been a very influential person in my life and in my soccer journey. Like I said, I played for him for 4 years here at Jackson. My junior year, we went to the state finals and lost. My senior year, we went to regional final and lost. And it was because of your dad that I actually fell into coaching, and coaching is what led me into becoming a therapist. And then I ended up coaching back with your dad for, literally like 12 years. He taught me everything I know about coaching, and he also identified my position as a holding midfielder, which is something that I will always eternally be grateful for. But, not to embarrass Pops, but Pops has won over 300 games here as a coach. And he's, in the history books at Hiram College, which is a Division II school, as a goal scorer. It's not like Pops was a slouch, man. Pops knew what he was doing.
It's the left foot.
Yeah, that left foot was magical for Pops. So, even in my journey in football, my older brothers played here, and I remember as a kid, I just knew that was the family sport. And at Jackson here locally in North Canton or Canton-Masson area, we have a tradition of winning, and I wanted to do what my family did. And that was always one of the motivating factors. Even before maybe I knew that I loved soccer, I just knew that football was meant to be my thing because I admired my brothers so much. Yeah. Who was the person maybe outside of your dad that really implanted that love for football early on?
Lionel Messi.
Of course.
It's about as cliche answer as you could give, but I was the biggest Lionel Messi fan. I wanted to be everything that he was. I would copy his game to the detail, to the point where I was playing games only left-footed, and I was a right-footed player. So when I was 12, 13, I wanted to be Lionel Messi so bad. And I would watch video after video, sitting in my room, just unknowingly at the time analyzing his game, seeing the things that he did. So, I would say that would probably be it. And I play nothing like him now, so it's weird. But when I was younger, it was all about, because he was the best player in the world. He was winning all the games, Champions League, La Ligas, Ballon d'Ors, you name it. He was winning it all. And I'm like, dude, this guy, the things that he does outside of just scoring and assisting, it was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was captivated by him. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to be that guy. And so other than my dad, I would say, probably Lionel Messi, and I think he'll tell you that too.
Yeah, I would say, let's clarify, this is a Messi in crowd. This is Messi is the greatest player to walk the face of the earth, because you're not going to hear me say anything else. It's funny that you say that, because when I think of you as a kid, I always would relate to you in a way that I would say you were more Ronaldo than Messi, just in your mentality of like perfectionism and anger and frustration. But I think a lot of people misjudge your anger and frustration for passion. And, I think you and I have talked about it so many times, but kind of talk a little bit about how people and coaches maybe have misseen your personality type for arrogant or somebody that's uncoachable.
Yeah, I've been thinking, honestly, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been thinking about that a lot just recently. And I think it's one of the biggest things that, in college in particular, ruined my development, really. At Crew they tried to do the same thing, and I think it was for a different reason. At Crew it was more of a, thought they were trying to do the right thing, and I don't blame them at all for everything that happened there in terms of my attitude, whatever you want to call it. But man, I'm a competitor. At the end of the day, I'm a competitor, and I want to win. And I think what made me good and what made me who I was as a player was that hothead, fierce competitor who isn't afraid to say what's on his mind and be a little contentious. And the Crew and my college coaches, I think, really tried to take that away from me. And it led me down this path of, what's the word? Like, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who Colin was. I thought I did, but I was told that that was wrong. So now I'm trying to change myself into something I don't really know, and now I have an identity crisis, and I'm struggling to understand who I am as a player, who I am as a person. What made me a good soccer player apparently made me a bad person. What made me a good person was making me a bad soccer player. So I was really trying to battle with that, and it led me down a really, really tough path of, depressive episodes, a lot of anxiety before games. And it took away that competitiveness that I had, that really drove me to be the winner that I wanted to be, the player that I wanted to be. And I think the results showed. I mean, my last 2 years at Akron, we were not very good. We weren't winning games that we should win. We weren't performing at the level we should have performed. Go to Syracuse, kind of the same deal. The first season, we finished, I think, just above 500. I wasn't playing too well, and I was just so confused. I was like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what type of player I'm supposed to be, positionally and personality-wise. So I think, like what you said, a lot of people mistook my attitude as arrogance and not passion, because I love this game. I wouldn't be anywhere without this game.
Right.
The things I've seen, the people I've met, the places I've been able to go, what I've won, I wouldn't have done any of that without soccer. So I take a lot of care in the game. When I see a lot of people, especially at the collegiate level, who disrespect the game and don't put in the effort that I believe they should, yeah, it rubs me the wrong way. And I think a lot of people will agree with me with that statement. And I wasn't afraid at the time to call them out on it. But it came to the point where I guess that wasn't what the coaches wanted me to do, and then I stopped doing that, and I think it kind of rubbed into my own standards a little bit.
Sure.
Of maybe I shouldn't be that uptight, maybe I shouldn't be so, maybe I shouldn't be that perfectionist mentality. And that kind of hit into my standards, and I don't think I was playing it that good. I wasn't getting the numbers that I should get. I was in and out of the lineups. I wasn't enjoying it like I used to, playing. And yeah, and it's still something I struggle with today, trying to find that balance of understanding my personality on the field and what I should be doing and how people think I should be doing and what they think I should be doing. And it really, really hurt when it came time to try and turn professional, because now I'm walking up to these trials thinking, instead of thinking like, okay, here's my opportunity, I'm going to go in there and do everything that I need to do. I'm going to be outgoing, I'm going to be proactive, I'm going to get on the ball a lot and try and take someone's position, essentially, right? Because that's the name of the game. Instead of that mentality, I went in with, who am I to come in here and take this guy's job, take this guy's position? Who am I? Instead of, why not me? So that's where that identity crisis kind of plays in, where I'm like, I'm not really sure who I am. This is who I used to be, but I was told that was bad. This is who I am now, but it's not really working for me either. So what's the happy medium here? What's the direction that I need to go in?
Yeah, that's, I think that's a very real thing that, that's why at All Pass, creating the mental fitness mentality manual has been such a passion project for me. Is when I hear stories like this, and even in my own private practice that I work for, and I hear people struggling with identity, I hear people struggling with confidence, and I hear external perspectives are driving people's overall beliefs and understandings about themselves, it hurts.
Yeah.
And it hurts me to know that you may or may not have been given the tools mentally at a young age, so that when it got more competitive, those who you were on the field and off the field didn't waver, because we had those tools. Have there been any tools that you found at this stage of life that has helped you continue to kind of work in a positive direction?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, it's going to be different for everyone. Like, everyone's going to find their own thing that helps them zoom out a little bit, gain a little bit of perspective. And that was the issue for me. I think I was too close to it. And when you get too close to something, you lose perspective. So for me, I was way too close to soccer. I was way too close to wanting to be a professional, because like I said, that's all I wanted to do. From when I first started playing, I want to be a professional. This is my end goal, and these are the steps I need to take to get there. And it got to the point where, like I said, I was too close to it, and I started to lose perspective. And during the games, it started to hurt my performance because I started thinking about every little detail, every single action that could happen. Like, say we're in a 1v1, you're dribbling at me. I'm like, okay, he could cut inside. He could go to his right. He could do a double step over, go to the baseline, double step over, go to the baseline, cut back for a left-footed cross. You know, there's all these thoughts going in instead of just reading the game as it is.
Sure.
Right? So that being too close to it hurt me in a way that might not hurt other people. Like, some people might need to get super close to something in order to see it. For me, over the past year, I've been able to zoom out a little bit, gain a little bit of perspective, understand that when I'm that intense, when I'm that not driven, that's not the right word. When I'm that focused on it, when I'm too focused and all I'm seeing is soccer, that didn't help me.
Sure.
So, you know, in terms of what helped me gain that perspective, you know, it's just understanding, you know, life, global affairs of like what's going on around the world, having getaways, being able to do something that'll take your mind away from it. So for me, that was video games and golf.
Yeah.
And I think what really made me flip that switch to where I'm like, okay, I need to change something here, because what I've been doing isn't healthy, was that super fierce perfectionist competitiveness in me started coming out in my hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't enjoy my hobbies anymore.
It's real.
So my video games, I was way too competitive, getting pissed off for no reason, breaking my golf game, same thing. I'm like, if every shot isn't as pure as it could be, if I'm not center fairway 5 feet from the pin, I'm the worst golfer ever. I hate this sport. You know, that kind of stuff. And I think my dad will tell you that, because this is kind of a revelation that's happened recently. I realized I broke my first club off at Lion's Den on the first par 3 in the back 9.
Yeah.
Started off really well. I parred 10, got a really good hole there. Feeling really confident about the swing. I step up, chunk it into the water. It was a Pro V, by the way. Pro V straight in.
Hurts.
It still
hurts the soul.
And I just saw red. It's like I escaped reality. I didn't see anything other than 5 feet in front of me. Like, my dad wasn't there. The other golfers weren't there. There was no course. It was just me, and I just snapped my club over my neck. And then I had 2 clubs in my hand, and you kind of come back to reality a little bit. And I'm like, holy shit, what the hell just happened?
Right.
So then I put the clubs away, and then the rest of the round, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, I need to change something here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting too worked up on things that have no business to get me worked up on. And I think when we talk about trauma, that's what it comes from. I think it stems from soccer. I was too close to it. I was letting it control my life too much, control me and my self-worth, and it started leaking out into my hobbies and the things that are supposed to give me enjoyment.
Sure.
Take away from the stress and anxiety that comes with a job or soccer or something like that.
You just said so many real mental health things there that, you know, I hear in my practice a lot. You know, whether you want to talk about the neuroscience of, you know, the right side of our brain and limbic system controlling our emotions, and when, you know, something hijacks it, whether it's trauma or stress or anxiety, and, You know, we'll talk about like the brain stem being right here, and like when you flip your lid and you don't have connection to that left side of the brain, you're all in that fight or flight or freeze state where it becomes so dysregulating where, yeah, you can do some things that once you're able to regulate yourself, you're like, man, I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah.
And I like what you're saying, and this is something that I do believe a lot of people, and I try to encourage athletes, is balance. And I'm very blessed to have a relationship with Austin City FC's goalkeeper Brad Stuver, and I've ran some things past him, and he's validated some things for me that, like, even if we are professionals, after you go to training, after you do your weightlifting, after you do your, you know, rehab or whatever, or film study, there's still hours in the day left for you to explore yourself. And, you know, a lot of athletes sometimes get lost in that, or they don't have a golf, or they don't have school to finish, or whatever the case may have you be, and that creates like an offset. And it's also interesting that you said, you know, a lot of people made your obsessiveness a negative, but any high level athlete that we love, they're obsessive.
Absolutely.
Tiger Woods, you know, I think right now one of the biggest ones that people are so confused about is Scotty Scheffler, because he says the golf doesn't define him, it's God that defines him. But I've often told people that I think having that North Star as God for him ultimately takes him out of being so hyper-focused on the golf that his mind is always mentally fresh when he comes back to golf, because he has balance.
It's a balanced obsession.
Everywhere else, right? You know, everybody loves the Tiger, laser focus. Everybody loves the eccentric, you know, Ronaldo or Tom Brady, who's, you know, you can just see it on him. But what happens after that?
Yeah,
you know?
I think a lot of people, I think professional athletes and student athletes, we get a bad rep because, yeah, the lifestyle can be pretty good sometimes. I'm not going to say it's not. It's definitely, if I had to choose, I would choose that every single time.
It's not bad.
But it's still stressful, and stress still weighs the same, no matter what type of stress it is. And if you can't find something to take yourself away from that stress, if you're just constantly living in that stress, that anxiety, it's going to boil up. And you can't hold it down forever. Some people have their release. Some people don't. I think most people don't, because they just haven't found it yet. So maybe you haven't experienced the boil up yet, the boil over. I have. But when you do, it's kind of eye-opening. It's like, how did we get to this point? It's like 3 years ago, this didn't seem conceivable, and here we are. So I think, you know, Scotty Scheffler is a great example, because he is, I think if you ask any player on tour, he's probably the most competitive person on tour.
He said it. He's been open about it in his interviews.
It's also, it's like Jokic.
Yeah.
He's got to be 100%. He's the MVP, the most competitive player in the NBA.
Has to be.
Has to be. You don't get to that level without it. But he understands, all right, that's my basketball life. I have another life outside of this. This doesn't define who I am as a person, who I am to my family and my friends. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. That's where I went wrong. It's like the soccer defined who I was. It's like when you watch Full Swing, now we're just sticking on golf, Brooks Koepka.
Brooksy. Yeah, hey.
I was the same way. His self-worth, self-determination all stemmed from golf.
It's a great example.
If he didn't win the Masters, if he didn't play well, he's like, damn, I'm a shitty person. I suck.
Yeah.
My family's going to think I suck. My wife's going to hate me. That kind of stuff. That's how I felt. And I got to the point where I was like, I didn't want to hang out with my friends. I didn't want to go coaching with my dad, because I was ashamed of my performances on the field. And I felt like that's what everyone's going to be talking about when they see me. Like, oh, he played like shit over the weekend. They just lost 3-0, 4-0. That's how I perceived it. So I didn't want to be seen in public until I started playing well again. But yeah, I mean, to that point, there's just got to be a well-defined wall between work and everything else. Job-life balance. If you don't have that, you're not going to have a good time. It's just a fact.
The terms that, from a therapist standpoint, that I would say is boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? I challenge a lot of clients to be able to clearly identify your professional self versus your personal self. And at times, the professional self, because of the world, or you can even say America, with, the grass is always greener. There's always more. There's always better. If you're sleeping, somebody ain't sleeping. That work hard mentality, it can swallow us up, and it can swallow the personal self up. And then when your tank is on empty and you're forced to look at the personal self, I think my favorite player to ever play the game is a French guy by the name of Thierry Henry, and he just went on the Diary of a CEO podcast, and he said, when I lost that cape of soccer, that cape of football, where I didn't have to be nice to my teammates. We just had to win. That's all I needed to do. I could avoid all the other emotions. I can avoid what happens. I'm going to go to practice. I'm going to play better than you, faster than you, be more physical than you. And I'm going to let you know if you step out of line, because I don't need you to like me, but I need you to perform. But once you lose that, all of a sudden you're conflicted with everything that you've ignored.
Yeah, you're confronted with it. I watched that, yeah.
And I thought that was so powerful. And I'll say, from a football standpoint, there's two people globally that appear to have gotten it right. And you can watch a lot of documentaries on these two people. David Beckham, even though Sir Alex Ferguson hated his flashiness, hated his business sense, hated the modeling, didn't like him dating Posh Spice or anything like that, you see how balanced it kept him as a professional. Football was always the main thing. And he kept the main thing, and he said that. And you saw that in his performance. But he also had these other things working in the background. You could also say that with somebody like LeBron James. We know that when LeBron steps on the court, the main thing is always the main thing. He said it on his new podcast with JJ Redick. Like, when it's about basketball, there's nobody sharper than LeBron. You can also watch the documentaries on Apple about Lionel Messi. And he has stated it from day one. I think this is why we love him, is I just want to be a normal guy. I just want to love my wife. I want to do all the normal things to take the kids to practice. I want to do all the workouts. I just want to be like everybody else. And that level of humility and balance is incredible at those levels. But then there are some people that lose that. And I think our American system kind of right now at times, especially at younger ages, because kids can't play multiple sports because it's so hyper-focused and hyper-competitive, that we're almost beating that out of our youth, which is leading to guys that, and gals that tap out before they get to college because they're burnt out. And I do want to clarify for you, I'm not trying to make you feel embarrassed or talk you up too much, but I do want to make this statement before this is done, that you are by far the best player I have ever coached. By far. You are by far the best player that has ever come from this program. And you have given up more for the game of soccer than any person that I know that is of your age. And let me clarify for anybody that's listening. I've watched Colin play since he was 9 years old. I watched him give up high school soccer to travel down to Columbus, which is 2 hours from here, 3 to 4 days a week to play for the Crew. I watched him sign to the biggest school in the country that is in the backyard, that carries so much historical weight, to playing in a national championship game his freshman year and losing, to leaving and transferring out during a tough transition of COVID, to reestablishing himself as a top player in the country, playing for Syracuse, to then winning a national championship, and essentially doing everything that you're supposed to do as an American player to try to have a contract and be at the top level and not get there. I've watched it all. And when I tell people this, I personally don't know what else this young man could have done to put his name on the dotted line to sign a professional contract. You played, 93 Division I soccer games over the course of 5 years?
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
You've scored in Columbus Crew preseason games against Seattle Sounders right after they won the MLS Cup. You've scored in big MLS Cup games at the academy level. You've scored big PKs in national championship tournaments. I just want you to know I've seen how much you sacrifice for the game. Although the game has not given you everything, I hope in this conversation that you can see what it has given you. And you have done an incredible amount in the time that you've played.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
You really have, man. And it's been a joy of mine and a pleasure of mine to be able to help you in any way, to have this conversation with you, to watch your growth and maturity on and off the field, even in the toughest times. And, this is behind the scenes talk here for a second, but even in the toughest of times, I always wanted you to know that you were supported, that you were loved, and that you were good enough. And even though the people around you may not have given you that you possess amazing football talent that not only was God given to you, because it's not all God given. There is a working aspect to this. The amount of free kicks I've seen you take, right and left foot, to the way that you pass the ball, to the way that you receive the ball, to then not only have that, but also have the mentality. You're talking about X's and O's a little bit earlier when you were at Akron. Is he going to cut in? Is he going to, step over, go to the baseline? Is he going to come in for a combination? Is he driving the ball inside? Like, there is a certain level of obsessiveness that it takes to be great. And although the world has not given you that indication, because I'll say it right here, I believe that you deserve to be in the MLS right now. You should be starting for a team. There are guys that are the same height, same stature, same style that I think you're better than. I'm going to say it on the record, and I will say it till the day I die. I don't care. It's not biased. You can ball. I hope that when it's all said and done, this journey of yours and the barriers and the hurdles and the hurt and the sacrifice shows its worth, and that you can reflect on it and know that, man, I took advantage of my talent. I took advantage of my health, and I gave everything. And although I may not have gotten to that point where I wanted to be at, and if you do, fantastic. If you don't, I still sincerely hope in your heart, when you look back at all of this, that there's joy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Those kind words, honestly. But I mean, back to the point where you brought up about doing everything in my power, and yeah, I definitely felt like I did. I mean, it's what when it came down to it, when that first year after college, when I didn't get a team and I was left at home wondering what I was going to do with my life. When I was talking to my dad about it, I was like, this is what it feels like. It feels like you go to college, you're just a normal student, you go to college, you're graduating, you did all your core classes, your gen eds, electives, everything. You've done everything you should have, but the school's not going to give you the diploma. That's what it feels like. Because, if you go through not just my resume, I mean, there's other people's resumes as well, but if you look at mine, 2018 DA playoff top scorer, third place finish. We had a really good team, but I mean, you look at the players that were in that tournament. You got Richie Ledesma, Sebastian Soto, David Ochoa. There's a few other players that are playing abroad overseas or starting the MLS. James Sands, Dante Polvera, Veljko Petkovic. I could just keep naming names for you. These are guys who are, I mean, even on my team, Sean Zwatsky, Isaiah Parente, Keegan Hughes, Boubacar Keita. I mean, these guys are either playing first division in other countries or playing starting games in the MLS. Aiden Morris, great example.
Yeah.
When it was all said and done, and you look at the DA standings, goal scorers, assists, I was top of that list. It wasn't your Sebastian Soto's, Richie Ledesma's, your attacking players who are very, very, very good playing in the MLS, playing overseas. It was Colin Biros. We go to Akron, freshman year, we win the MAC, we make it to the national championship. A few years down the line, I'm winning, MAC first teams, MAC second teams, all Ohio teams, winning the MAC again, go to Syracuse, we win national championship, ACC tournament, ACC regular season. I'm making academic teams, believe it or not.
Hey, you love it. You love to hear it.
So yeah, when you list it out like that, you're like, okay, I've done everything I'm supposed to. I've checked all the boxes. I've done my prerequisites. I'm ready for this next step. And then the next step doesn't come. And I'm just kind of sitting there questioning myself, questioning what I've done, if it was really that good, if I'm really good enough. Is the American structure wrong? Like, I don't know where to point the finger. Is it me? Maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe what I did just wasn't good enough. Maybe I'm too small. I'm not fast enough. I don't know. So, I mean, these are questions I still have yet to have answered for myself. It's still something I'm going through right now. And yeah, when you look back on it, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed my time. But it was kind of like, for what?
Sure.
Right? Because I didn't see, and perhaps it's my fault. I think this is definitely a personal thing for me. I didn't see the awards and the tournaments as awards and trophies. I didn't see it like that. I saw it as steps in things I needed to do in order to get to where I ultimately wanted to get. So when I did all those things and I didn't get to where I wanted to get, it made these things feel like it didn't matter, like it was obsolete. Because I mean, let's face it, like I won the national championship 2 years ago, and everyone's already forgot about that. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I have a trophy, and my parents are proud, obviously, but that was so I could make a living, make a career.
Sure.
So now it's just kind of like cool, I guess, in a way. That's how it feels at the moment. Maybe a decade or so later, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Sure.
That's something cool I can tell the kids, like, yeah, Dad was a pretty good soccer player, won a national championship. But right now, that's kind of what it feels like. It's like I did all that work, put in all this effort, sacrificed a lot of time. I lived in Reading, Pennsylvania for a summer. For what? Because now I'm sitting at home trying to piece together my next steps and figure out what I have to do. And looks like going halfway across the world again just to stay under contract so I can hopefully come back here and play. It's just the hoops and the hurdles you have to go through sometimes when it maybe doesn't feel like it's deserved. Maybe you feel like you deserve better, but that's the way life shakes out sometimes. And you can either, I don't want to go leave my family and go all the way halfway across the world to play and make a little bit of money, but I have to.
Sure.
This is what I have to do. And sometimes I think that's the mentality that I'm trying to take right now, is like, if I want to get to where I want to get, I got to do the things I don't want to do. And I've approached that in my training, in my actual life. Like, I've been doing these runs. They're called 4-4s. I got it online. It's just a 1K run. Got to get under 4 minutes. You get 3 minutes rest. Just 4 of them. So, you know me. I hate running.
So do I, brother.
I suck at it.
So do I, brother.
Come from a family that
so do I,
is not good at running. So I struggle with fitness.
Sure.
But I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this, so I probably should do it.
All right.
I've been going out every day doing these ridiculous runs. I just went on a 14K run the other day, something I never thought would be possible. I don't want to do it. I'd much rather just sit inside, watch some Premier League games, play some video games, but these are the things I got to do. And unfortunately, that's how life works out. You don't want to do half the shit you got to do, but you have to do it.
Right. Listen, man, as we end, man, I'm glad that's a good place to end. That's a good sentiment. I've said it a lot in my office and on another podcast that I do, that pain is unavoidable. Mm-hmm. And when we allow pain and fear and anxiety and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas and all those doubts get in the way, it keeps us in a comfort zone. And even if that comfort zone entails a lot of pain, it just keeps us there. It is the people that are willing to embrace fear and look it in the face and embrace pain that end up getting to unlimited possibilities.
Yeah.
If people are interested in that, where that comes from a guy by the name of Phil Stutz. He's a Jonah Hill psychiatrist. He wrote a book called The Tools, and that's one of the tools is we have to teach ourselves how to reverse our psychology to invite pain rather than push it away. So when you go out and you force yourself to do those things, that's where you're starting to see like, yeah, I can run a 14K. Never thought I could, but I can, because you were willing to accept it. And I think that's what I hope a lot of younger athletes and guys and gals that are trying to go D1, D2, D3, whatever division or beyond, it takes pain.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a yes every time, no matter how persistent you are. But if you stay committed to it, again, there's no guarantee at the end, as you can hear in your journey and your story that we're so blessed that you shared. But there will be something there. Whether that is the contract or not, I hope that that's something when you come to it is everything that you were looking for.
I mean, you gotta be a salesman at the end of the day. That's kind of what I equate it to.
Sure.
I have a buddy, good best friend of mine, who's a salesman now. You got to call 120 times to get maybe 3-4 sales. That's kind of what this is. You just got to keep pursuing, keep trying. You could try 100, 200, 300 times. All you need is one yes in this game. All you need is just one, and then you're in. And now you've won, essentially. So that's kind of what the business is, even at the collegiate level. Because while it's not technically professional, I still consider it a professional level. Because at the end of the day, all they care about at the collegiate level is winning.
Sure.
So you could email hundreds of schools. You just need one yes to get yourself in the door.
Absolutely.
So that's how I've kind of approached this. Is I just need one person to give me a chance, one person to give me an opportunity, and you got to take advantage of it at the end of the day. But you just need one yes.
Absolutely. Well, hey man, we really appreciate you sitting down with us, talking about your journey, talking about some of the tools that you use to help you overcome, and talking about some of the hurdles that have hurt. I think the hurt is very real. And thank you guys for tuning in to the All Path podcast, discussing mental fitness with athletes across the board. We hope that you found something that is beneficial here. If you got any comments or you want to reach out to us and give us some feedback, please go ahead and do that. We'll be on your YouTubes and all of your social medias and Instagram. If you're interested in the mental fitness mentality, it will be located at All Pass website. And we appreciate you coming along. And Colin, man, we appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you having me. I'm glad to be on.
Yeah, man, thank you.